All right. Today, y'all, we got someone that is extra special joining the show. I'm talking about a man who's been making waves both in the Air Force and also in his personal life. This man isn't a thought leader, but he's also an Air Force chaplain who previously worked directly with the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. And let's not forget, he's a proud father, an amazing father, by the way, of 3 wonderful girls. So this man is all about that girl dad life. Fred Smith, putting in work, staying grounded, always thinking several steps ahead. Man, I gotta give you your flowers. You're a true exploration of what I need to be in my life. A hustler, a heart, and wisdom. How are you doing today, fam?
Hey man, I can't complain. I can't complain. What they say, nobody will listen if we do anyway. So, hey. What about you? How you doing?
Man, thank you for saying that. I'm doing well. I got home, saying a little late.
Hey,
We making it work. We making it work, sir.
that's what we do. That's what we do, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Fred, everyone sees the results, the success, but what's something about your grind, your background, that people don't usually know or understand? Like, what is something behind the scenes that will surprise folks about your journey?
All right, that's a good question. So trying to figure out the right way to say this, but I would say that, a lot of people, at least for the way that people have approached me, is that they admire it, but that I wish that I had, the drive, the grind that you had. I'm like, I don't know if you do. A lot of it comes from the place of pain, right? It comes from a place of pain. It hasn't always been. I always haven't had the best motivations. I would say there have been times where my grind was ill fueled, just to prove people wrong, some people wrong, and yeah, man. So like I would say that's probably one of the things. It's like just because it's important, man. To I know one of the things we say in ministry is that you see the glory, but you don't know the story, right? So I would say that's the case with me, at least how I really started getting into my grind. It was really fueled by proving people wrong, thinking that was going to bring me to a place of peace, which it did not. Like it ultimately just, but I'm sure we'll tap more into that. So yeah, man, thank you. I'm sure we'll tap more into that.
So when you hit those low moments, what kept you grounded? I know you tried to say like, you're trying to prove people wrong, but man, it has to be more than that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about the initial thing with proving people wrong, and then when you start to realize that that's the case, and then it's not fueling you the way that you thought that you would, then it's time to shift focuses and come back to a place where you're intrinsically motivated by the things that are positive, right? So for me personally, because I am a person of faith, it was my spiritual disciplines. Those things help keep me grounded. And then I've always, for the most part, been a historical optimist. I don't know if that's because I was irresponsible, maybe, just so that whole head in the clouds sort of optimism, everything will work itself out. Or if I really just simply did believe that, I'm just kind of in view with that stance that it'll be fine. Right. And I still am for the most part to this day, because again, I am a person of faith, but at the same point, things still get difficult. I would say more so now that I am in the position that I'm in than it was previously. So yeah, man.
And so it seems like a lot is on your plate. So when you were coming up, you know what I'm saying, how were you and people were, when they was looking at you, who inspired you to keep pushing and even when it came to seeing the full picture, you know what I'm saying?
Man, to be honest with you, coming up, it's like a night and day sort of thing. Very much so. Background, didn't want to be seen, birthday wasn't a leader, just leave me alone, everybody do your thing, I don't want any attention on me, all I want to do is sit there, and I don't think that really changed until about almost 30 years old, dude. For the first 30 years of my life, yeah, man. So I'm 41, so the first 30 years of my life, I was basically everybody just focus self. So I'm what's called a late bloomer. But obviously, my parents still set a good foundation for what excellence looked like. My mother was the first doctor in our family's history, so I had that to go based on. Yeah, just like several people throughout the years, man. I've had even in my first duty station, like this is after I got kicked out of college and all that, which is also part of the story. I had some civilians, actually, some people who had recently retired who looked out for me, which is crazy because, by God's providence, we're reconnected here. We attend the same ministry and all that. Just 20 years later, it's the wildest thing. That I've always had people in my life at different stages who served as examples and the things I need to glean from, or, so I would definitely say leaning on those folks, man. Those are my inspirations.
Whoa. You're not just gonna, skip past that what you was talking about when you got kicked out of college.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, what? How did that happen?
Okay. So it wasn't for a lack of intelligence, it was just for a lack of discipline, right? So I went to Hampton University. That's where I met my wife, Sarah. So right, I graduated high school about as average as one possibly could, simply because I just didn't have that dog in me back then. Just simply did not have it. Again, I just wanted to be left alone, do my own things, figure out my way through life. So I get to college, I don't have any sort of discipline really. So I'm not even going to call it my junior year. I just simply say my third year there. I can't even call it junior year. But my grades weren't great, and then so like I get brought into the folks' office, and then so my man hit me with the Mr. Gallup. He took his glasses off, set him down. He rubbed his forehead, hit me one of them, and then he did his hands like this. He set him on the table. He says, "I'm sure that you're great at something, but right now, college is not."
Yo, sorry.
So back it's hilarious. So my man hit me with the glasses, the temple rub, and then the hands like this. Anytime you get hands like this, I mean that means your loan is denied.
Yeah.
You got bad lab work. You So yeah, I got kicked out. I went in for architecture, trying to follow my cousin. I had no idea what I was doing with that. Switched over to business, switched over to physical therapy, switched over to sports management. Bro, I was just like, bro, what we doing today? I'm just crap it out, bro. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, it's hilarious, dude. I just didn't know, like, I was kind of put in a position where it's like you have to attend college. I just simply wasn't ready. I just simply was not ready at that point. So yeah, so after that, that's when I came into the Air Force. Though I got kicked out, immediately went and talked to a recruiter. 2 weeks later, I was swearing in. Yeah, and I was headed down to basic training, February 2004. Yeah, yep.
Oh,
hey,
you ain't played no games,
bruh. They was like, "Hey, got a spot for you. Time to go."
Let's go. They said, "Let's get it." Oh man. Yep. Okay. No, that's fair. You know what I'm saying? Now you had your fair share of wins, and losses, as you said. It's like flip the script a little bit, but what's one L that taught you more than any win could ever?
Oh man. It's gonna sound funny, but probably the second time I failed out of college.
It's more than once.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I'm talking to a PhD. Hey, that's motivation right there.
Yeah, so it was kind of like a period, right? So I failed my CDCs, the career development course, which all people in the Air Force airmen have to go through. I failed that and I put on some remedial training program. Mm-hmm. The trouble I was getting into as an airman, yeah, it's a wonder that I made it out of my first assignment. Like for real, like people say, "Oh, nah, bro, this is legit." It is a miracle. So the Lord was looking out for me to say that made it out that first assignment. Then during that same period of time, that's when I was getting like bad reports, and it was like a lost period in my life. I had no idea. I was just basically floating through, just like, and then, but like in those losses, those quote unquote losses, man, I did have an initial supervisor. She came back around and she was like, "Yo, you have all the power in the world. You just used them on the wrong things." She said
Mm.
you have all the influence in the world. You use your powers for evil. And I was like, yo, I can't
You
even
like,
argue with you. I mean, you speaking facts right now. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So she was kind of one of the folks to help set me on the right path, man. So I would say those the L's. So I would say my first assignment, I'm not going to call it an L because I met some of the greatest people of my life, some of my best friends to this very day from that assignment. But career wise, it was definitely an L. So
Hey, yo, that's wow. That's so so did that really start your transformation? You know, no pun intended. I know you're a Goku fan or a Dragon Ball Z fan, but when I say transformation, no pun intended.
I would say got over to England, so I PCS from there by the grace of God. I married my wife in September 2007. I'm sorry, August 25th, 2007. I PCS in September, right? So we were married for a long time, you know, so 17 years, right? So I get to England. We have a kid before we get married. And so the story was just insane, right? And then so we get to England and I'm still like trying to figure out life and all that. And I have a supervisor. I got saved, you know, when I was over there. And then I also, you know, just getting married, like learning how to be a husband and father. I would say those are the main things that you know, began the transformation process. But then I also had some supervision over there that was like, yo, kind of the same thing is like, bro, you got more than what you think that you do. And those are the ones who really like just kind of instill things in me was like, yo, you can be greater than what you are, bro. Like we see it in you. You usually got to see it in you, man. So yeah.
You know, that's pretty amazing. You know, I was talking about this with my homeboy Mike. That, you know, he's talking about the old guard of how we was trained and raised through the Air Force, right? And then also the new school of thought or leaders. But I think one thing that that resonates with me consistently through everybody's transition story is that they had that one person, maybe multiple, but that one person that saw something that they was not acting upon at that moment.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing. Do you think that's a lost art in leadership?
So, what I can say, man, is that for the most part, throughout my time, I've been blessed with. If I didn't have great media leadership, I've always had people who looked out for me. So I would say that is definitely. I'm not sure I would use the words lost art because there are people out there who still get it right. There's people out there who have been developed the right way, but I will say that's something that we definitely need to refocus on and like hone in back on. It's like because unfortunately, me and I could say this after being there for 20 years, both enlisted side and officer side, is that unfortunately our culture kind of breeds us to be selfish. You know, they both American culture, you know, but also with our Air Force, because you and I are both in the Air Force, so I can speak on that with Pratt's and, you know, getting, you know, like, you know, those, you know, fives and everything like that, you know, promoting owls and all that. It teaches like a very mean standard approach. And I think that that's something that's like, you know, so, but I would definitely say that's something for us to recapture, right? I'm not going to say it's lost, but it's definitely something to recapture. And that's why people like you exist, man. I know the great work that you're doing, all the amazing things that you're doing, and it shows and the impact that you have, man. So I'm very, so anybody, I'm giving you your flowers, man. I'm very proud of you, man. Like when you made rank, I was like, the Air Force got it right, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
Got it right. Yeah, man.
Thank you. But I'll be honest and tell you that you are one of my inspirations. Like when I remember I was talking to you before you left Barksdale, right? And you were saying how, you know, you wasn't sure if you was going to go for your PhD or not. And then when you started pursuing it and everything like that, and I was like, you know what? I can't stop. So that's why I got my bachelor's and I got my master's. And of course, you along that journey of getting degrees and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, am I doing it for, because I want to be like that person, or am I doing it for me? And so, I had to take some time really thinking like, I'm doing this for me. I want to be able to, show my daughters, what I'm saying, show my son that, hey, dad had something that he was afraid of when it came to school.
Yeah.
And I was able to pursue, of course, with the grace of God, of course, you know what I'm saying, and everything that includes that, especially with the love of a good wife, right?
Yeah.
And so that leads me to my next question with you. Like, you know what I'm saying? You strike me as a person who really think about legacy. What does legacy mean to you? And when it's all said and done, like for all of us, what do you really want people to say about the mark you left on this world, on their life?
To the second point, I mean, like, again, I'm a pastor, I'm a chaplain, I'm a Christian. I want to say that the image of God, right? You know what I mean? Like, left a lasting legacy of like godliness, even despite my failures. One of my favorite sayings is that God, he makes straight lines with crooked sticks. So like despite my failures, despite my frailties, despite my inconsistencies, I'm like, I just want to leave a legacy of like, yo, this person trusted God and God did great things to him. I will also say, like, to the next point is, I want to leave a legacy of like, yo, you can be real, like you can be yourself, you can be uniquely and distinctly you. And I think that is so important because I'm gonna use a word here. While we may initially have some negative preconceptions about the word, based on what's called, so I'm sorry, by big word, etymology. So the study of the word, like the origin of the word, the word condescend. It doesn't mean to be like, oh, condescending, looking down on people. The word just simply means to meet others at the level that they are. Right? It's basically as though a king of like the ancient world was kind of coming down and being amongst like the people that he was ruling over, like, just kind of banging with them. Like he condescended down, and I know that even still sounds weird, but the legacy that we leave, man, is basically showing people that, I know that's why I try to keep it a buck. It's like, oh, you got it all figured out, and then you got X, Y, Z. I'm like, brother, like I struggled. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll struggle, like, bro, I ain't nothing special. And if I could like that, because I don't have any superpowers that anybody else doesn't have. I just got drive, yo. You know what I mean? And I've learned how to harness that. And it's like, if I can do this, then you absolutely can as well. So I just want to help you get to that point. I've been in for 20 years. I could have stayed enlisted, made chief, because that's the direction that I was headed on. Like I was, bro, like we know I was headed to chief. I'd have been chief right now. Yeah, I mean, like already in chief. But I came over to this side, man, to simply serve. And like my whole mission of still being in the Air Force past this 20 years mark is just to help other people get to their goals. That's my main thing. Building people, building their units. Like that's literally why I exist in this thing. It's not even about my personal goals anymore. It's about your goals and your, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I want to leave behind, is that this person served as an example so that I can get to where I want to get there.
Okay. So that's the key message that you want to leave behind, that legacy.
Absolutely.
And you said, and you really talked about so hard, man, about, being in the military over 20 years. So that leads me to my next question about like, what do you think about, the next generation? We hear it on social media all the time. The next generation, these kids don't know, blah, blah, fill in the blank. It's been said, right? But what do you think about, Generation Z and Generation Alpha?
Brother, so I'm glad you asked that question. I have kids who are both Gen Z and Gen Alpha. Our two oldest are Gen Z, the youngest Gen Alpha. She's the, skibbity Alpha Riz, she's that type of Gen Z, and I do stuff like that just to piss them off. And it's glorious how angry they get. I love how mad they get. But what I've come to realize, man, is that, people often talk bad about the ones who are coming up, but that's not our responsibility. We're supposed to be deposited into them. They have specific skill sets that we don't have. And we need to learn how to leverage that rather than talking down on them and discouraging them, because you talk to any millennial, the boomers ain't really, and they ain't really bang with us like that,
Tell it again.
and they really let us know their frustrations with us, man. But it's like, why would we in turn do that same thing towards Gen Z and Gen Alpha? Like, they have skill sets, man. They stand for things, man. Like they get it cracking, man. Like, does every generation have something that they can tighten up on? Yes, absolutely. But I'm not going to look at them negatively. I'm gonna look at them as like, they can get it cracking. You know what I mean? So yeah, like so I'm really optimistic about them. They're this, they're that, they're that. I'm like, brother, they're exposed to so much more than we were ever exposed to. Like, I tell my kids all the time, bro, I was born before the internet. And I lived a whole like decade, you know what I'm saying? Like, before the internet ever came out. And then like a good portion of my life, at least a quarter of my life or more, existed without having the internet. Like, y'all are exposed, y'all are native to this thing, So I would say, man, like, as far as we're concerned, we have to stop looking at them as weight, and look at them more as opportunities, right, to fill into.
Gotcha. That does make so much sense.
Yeah.
Oh man. So you know what? It makes me think about like the thing where people talk about strong people. And every strong individual usually has a strong why. Like, why I do what I do. And you kind of, alluded to it, like, what's your why? What is that thing that gets you out of bed even when the weight of the world feels so heavy and pressed upon you?
Say it for real. I got people that count on me. I can't tell. I got people who count on me, bro. You know what I mean? So my immediate family, the people I have the opportunity, the people that I get serve, people count on me. So I have to show up for them. And also, like, I'm also super competitive, like ultra competitive. So life, you ain't finna beat me. I may go down for a little bit, but I'm back up. You know what I mean? Like the Undertaker just. You know what I mean?
Hey, the kids will never know Undertaker, boy. They never know. Watching WWE or WWF or WWF back in the day. Yeah. Or WCW. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When they remember how they used to do the invasion, they used to go back and forth to each other.
I was there for when they did that, and I was actually at the event in Norfolk. I'm from Norfolk, Virginia, where we had at the Norfolk Scope, we had WCW, and at the Hampton Coliseum we had WWF. So that's when the NWO came over to Norfolk. I was like, yo, this is crazy. They invaded. I'm just like, So yeah, man. Yeah, man. It was crazy. Oh, that was a core memory as a kid.
Oh man, see, that's crazy. So as a kid, you used to watch Dragon Ball Z, right? So just real quick, who was your number one character in Dragon Ball Z?
We'll say, if I'm looking at, just for the sake of principles, I gotta say Piccolo, and we all know why. Piccolo was that guy. He was he was that black father. He was that black father who stepped up. You know what I mean? So that's who Piccolo was, and he didn't play no games about his. But I will also say, man, I know Vegeta was my guy. Really like Vegeta, man. Like his character arc is insane about how he came out just he was a bad guy, but then his development to turn him into a hero, anti-hero, then a hero. I'm just like, so what they showed me is that we all got that ability in there. It's a matter of being surrounded by the right people to draw it out. Like, I love that about Vegeta, man.
Yeah, and that's so true. So this is the last question with when it comes to anime though. But who do you think? Oh, okay. Okay. Who do you think has the best hands in Dragon Ball Z? You know what I'm saying? When it comes to boxing, is it Goku, Vegeta? Is it Yamcha? Is it Piccolo, or is it I'm not gonna say his name. I'll let you insert him if you feel like it. So
all the OGs, man. Oh, feel like Goku has a leg up, right? Because I mean, he got the Super Saiyan, you know what I'm saying, like deep level of Super Saiyan because because he had it natural in him. But Vegeta, he had to keep to get his and all that, Um, so it's like, so I'll give a basketball example. I'm a bigger LeBron fan than I am a Kobe fan. So I'm a bigger LeBron fan than Kobe fan, but I also recognize that, but praising both of them, right? That, LeBron had the natural gifts that Kobe had to work infinitely harder because he didn't have that freak sort of, like physique and genetics that LeBron did. So that's kind of how I feel between like Goku and Vegeta and all that. I'll say just based on hands. Who knows? I got to give it to Goku, man. I mean, he's he's kind of the star of the show. Up until like later generations with GT and all that. Something about Vegeta, man, that can drive just to be better than Goku. Like it's I don't know, man. It's hard. It's hard to say. It's hard to say.
And you know what? And being a kid, back then. So how old were you? Around like 10, 12, 13, 14?
So Dragon Ball, the OG came out in the early 80s. So I didn't really pick up on it until Dragon Ball Z, which was the late 80s, early 90s. So by that point, I'm like, just right around 10, 9, 10. That's what I'm just like, watching 3 episodes of Charging Up, and developing the Spirit Bomb for 4 episodes, So yeah, man, we ain't have Pi and all that.
Hey, those feelings were real, bro. Those
I'm just like,
feelings were so real. Hey, those feelings are so real. Hey, that's funny. So it leads me to my next question, which is like, if you can go back when you was that age, say 10, 11, 12, standing on the edge of everything you know about that you about to go through, everything you about to experience in life, what advice would you drop on yourself? And be real with me, like, at that age, do you think you would actually listen to yourself?
No. Yeah. Because who I am now is radically different than who I am then. It's like a switch flip and I became a different person, bro. But back then, I would say just, man, give yourself some grace. Give yourself some be uniquely you. Because, forgive me for using a biblical example. Is that allowed?
Do it. Hey, do what you feel.
Okay. So, it's a time when, David, he's going out to fight Goliath, right? So the story of David and Goliath. And then, Goliath is out there terrorizing people, bro. Like I'm talking about, it's just, hey, who want, somebody's from Israel step up. Somebody from Israel step up. Then all the bravest Israelite soldiers were like, nah, hey, you got it, fam. So he's like marching around every single day, like, what's up, then? You know what I'm saying? Like basically like grandstand and all that. And it took this little youngin, man, this dude named David. So he comes out with just like, all the warriors got swords and spears and all that, and shields and bucklers. This boy come out with a slingshot and 5 smooth stones. They said, hey, bro, put this armor on you. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Put this armor on you. This is the king's armor. He tried to put it on it. It ain't fit. It ain't fit. Like the king's armor ain't fit. That armor worked for the king. It didn't work for David. So David goes out there with these, the slingshot. Whirls that thing up. Hits him in the temple, kills him, takes that man's own sword, and then goes up like, I got these cheeseburgers, like Buddy from off of like Menace to Society, you know what I'm saying? Like old dog from off of Menace to Society, but what that basically goes to tell me is like, yo, be uniquely you. You got you got skill sets. Give yourself some time to develop. You don't have to figure it all out at one time, man. Thrive in who you are. Stand up for what you believe. You know what I mean? So like I would say that's the advice I would give myself. Okay. That way you be much more at peace with who you are as a person.
Okay. And so this is the final question. So, we've been deep a little bit, going into like basically what makes you, all these questions. And it's like, let's switch gears a little bit. So if we can create a Mount Rushmore of your top 4 influences, people from all shapes and sizes, dead or alive, anime and non-anime, who are you putting up there?
Oh, obviously I'm going to put Jesus, right? The Son of God. Um, this like bear with me for this one. I'm gonna put Wolverine. Right.
Yeah.
Wolverine is my favorite fictional character in all of human history. That is where I am. I am a fanatic. So for people that already know that Logan's dope, I'm like, that's not even his name is James Howlett. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, bro, I am a fanatic for that dude. So number 2. Number 3, I would say my favorite athlete ever in human history is Allen Iverson. You know, he's from the crib.
AI.
Yeah, man, that's my boy. He had the heart. He had the heart of a lion, man. You know, he's from the same area. I get his struggle. You know, he's he's free. You know what I mean? And it took for the right people to get in his life to help push him towards greatness. So I love AI for that. Even if he retired with no championship, he's a culture definer. You know, he was uniquely himself despite what anybody tried to tell him. So I learned a lot from that. From him, man. It's like, bro, be you. If people don't like it, okay. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we move on. We keep pressing. I'm not for everybody. Yeah. Then after that, I would probably say Frederick Douglass. Douglass is my other favorite, aside from Christ, he is my other favorite historical figure, man. The man got born in Maryland in slavery, you know, he's mixed race, teaching himself how to, he's working with one of his master's wives who teaches him how to read. And so much that this dude goes from being goes from being enslaved to rising up and then influencing people like Abraham Lincoln and all that, to the point that Abraham Lincoln called him the most meritorious man in all of America. Like, this is a person who was enslaved, man. Like, if you ever get a chance, read that man's narratives on the life of Frederick Douglass, man.
I have.
Just brilliant, man. Just brilliant.
Like,
oh my gosh, man.
Himself so many intricate skills.
Yes. Like, yes, man.
And then for him not even to have the bitterness of slavery in him, the way, you know what I mean?
And I'm gonna get in trouble with this. I'm gonna get in trouble for this. One thing I really don't like is a victim mentality, right? So we cannot deny the fact that whomever, right? This isn't even directed towards anybody in specific. Did the thing happen to us? Yeah. Whatever the thing is to whatever group, did it happen to us? Yes. But does that define me? That is part of my story, but I can dig deep and find something in there when I'm operating with the right people, yo. Too many times, like, we just don't have the drive or even the knowledge, right? And then we throw our hands up and say, oh, I'm bitter because I'm bitter. I'm not going to do this thing. I'm like, this group has this over here. This group has this over here. And then we end up complaining. I'm like, okay, so what are you doing with what you have? I get that it's not fair, but what are you doing with what you actually have? Yes. I'm a big proponent of this fact. It's like, if you've been faithful with with little, you'll be trusted with much. If you've been unfaithful with little, you won't be trusted with anything at all. So, that's Frederick Douglass in a nutshell, bro. To a T, is that this man made lemonade out of lemons, bro. It was mad, bro. This dude. Ooh. Yeah, I read his book sometimes. I'm like, shame on you, Fred. Like, Fred Gallup, not Fred Douglass. I'm like, because, bro, you got it made, and this dude is like, look at all the things we do. I mean, so, yeah, dog. Yeah. He said he wasn't bitter. That's dope.
Yeah, and it's crazy. So, you know what? So, before we wrap up, I gotta know, what's next for you? Any big plans, projects, ideas? You want to let the people know? The floor is yours. Take it away, man.
That's a really deep question, bro. So, I've always been a person of, well, I'm not gonna say always, I am, but the Air Force would call, or some leaders would call, a late bloomer. You know, so I didn't really start figuring things out until I was 30. I'm like, maybe that's just, you know. And then, like, when I didn't really start realizing what I wanted to do in my life until I hit 37, which I became part of the occupation that I'm in now, and like the ability to help people in the capacity that I do now. But, you know, I got my master's, got my doctorate. end up getting selected into this program that I applied for. So only 6 of us per year out of a lot of, applications. So, I was talking to one of my homeboys, Jay Lee, and then he was, because he knows I got drive and ambition. He was like, at what point can you ever just kind of sit back and relax with the things you've been able to accomplish? Right. And then so I was like, I never considered that, because it's like the grind is always there, the hustle is always there, but to what end? You know what I mean? So 50 said a while ago, he says, even though he's rich, you know what I'm saying, he still feels broke. I'm like, I don't want that. I want to be able to, as I'm reading through certain scriptures and everything, it talks about being sad, not being complacent.
Yeah.
Not being complacent, not at all, but being satisfied with the things that you have. Being satisfied, right? And I don't think that I ever got to that point where it's like I truly am satisfied, because I always say I became addicted to the taste and the taste and achievement loop, where it's okay, I taste this thing, I got it.
Yeah.
It felt great. Chase this thing, got it. Boom, that felt great. It's this thing, boom, I got it, felt great. So what does this mean, right? So I'm big into history. So Alexander the Great, he was one of the emperors of the Greek Empire.
Yeah.
Alexander the Great, he expanded so much, like he conquered so much. He basically ran out of places to conquer, and then he grew depressed. Why? Because all of his ambition was in the seat. All of his ambition was in there, right? And then when he conquered it, he's like, yes, I got it. But when he ran out of that, there was nothing else to do. So what am I saying with that? Reshifting, refocusing, taking away from giving to everything else, and now like more like building myself internally, building people internally, rather than seeking those professional accolades and all that sort of stuff, man. It's much more of those soft skills rather than those hard skills. So I would definitely say that. So yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, man. I do 100% appreciate it. And before we close, I just let you know on this, man, like, how to say this. I always wonder, like, am I happy with who I am? And it took actually me getting, I'm not sure if anybody understands or knows this. So the Air Force offers Air Force coaches. So I signed up to get an Air Force coach because I wanted someone to, just maybe mentor me and help me through some things, right? And it was this lady. She was an Air Force coach, a mentor or whatnot. And she said, hey, I want you to meditate. Go somewhere by yourself and just meditate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not into all that meditation stuff, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's just, that ain't me. But I decided I'm going to give it a try. So when I went to go meditate, and I'm just trying to calm myself, I hated it. When I say I hated it, I absolutely, it to the point where it scared me to be with myself. And it made me think about some things.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was on Facebook just going, and I was strolling through, and I saw your stuff, and I just saw you, and I'm like, this. I'm not saying we don't have, you have it all figured out, but I can tell that you are authentically you. And you know what I'm saying? You're not trying to find happiness. You found it in who God called you to be. And that acceptance is worth more than anything you can ever have. And that's one thing I'm so blessed and so to actually figure it out and know. You know what I mean? So thank you, man. Like when I say you're inspiration, I truly do mean it, man.
Hey, bro, thank you. That means everything, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So thank you guys for visiting and being part of the show. That is the end of the show. So all right, peace, guys.